Regardless on whether you like Squid Game or not, we can't deny the impact that it had worldwide. I recently watched the entire series, and I think it's great, although I felt there's still some things that I felt needed improving. Yeah, perfection. However, after watching Squid Game, one thing came to my mind. What if Skylanders were there? As we know, our many 165 friends from Skylands have many different unique abilities. So, if we put all 165 Skylanders in the Squid Game, what would happen? That is the question I want to answer today. But before we get into the video, I have some ground rules. First of all, any weapons a Skylander may have must be subjugated. Unless their weapon is physically part of them, then we shall make an exception. Second of all, we're not going to count the Midnight Brawl on this video because it's not technically a game, and in terms of a moral spectrum, most of us Skylanders are pretty much, good fellas. So thus, chances of the riots during the night would be very unlikely. And most important of all, the Skylanders' abilities and personality will be taken into account on whether they survive the games or not. And with that said and done, let the games begin. So we have the first round of Squid Game, and possibly its most iconic as well. In order for our Skylanders buddies to succeed, they must know exactly when to stop and when to continue moving. But even the tiniest stumble, or the Skylander is simply too slow, then the Skylander's time at the Squid Games will be already over. The Skylander most likely to succeed is Echo. While of course she's not allowed to have her fancy headphones during the games, she has a great sense of beat, and because of this, she'll be able to know when to stop moving. And while there are definitely a good portions of Skylanders that will definitely not make it, like for example Crusher, with the fact that he's very slow, or Renado due to his inability to stand still as it will make him dizzy, and thus making him an easy target. But easily the first Skylander to be eliminated out of the entire roster would be Wrecking Ball. Wrecking Ball is very impulsive, and it's because of that impulsiveness that he lost his two front teeth. I imagine him considering the game as a joke and just using his Wrecking Ball move as if it's nothing, only for him to get shot literally seconds later. Luckily, all the other Skylanders don't even share the same stupidity level as Wrecking Ball has, making a good portion of them survive this round. In the Honeycomb challenge, you have to cut out the shape without making any mistakes. Seems pretty simple, right? But warning to all our Skylanders contestants, if you even slightly mess up, you'll be rewarded with a shot to the face. Skylanders with no hands whatsoever are easily eliminated because, well, you get the idea. This terminology doesn't apply to Drill Sergeant as he has drills for arms. Then again, his arms are too big to cut out the shape and he would be deactivated easily. And Prison Break, who has the honor of being the Skylander that is most likely to win this challenge. Reason being is that he can use his fancy beams to overheat the edges of a shape until it cuts out. Skylanders with no hands aren't the only type of Skylanders to be in danger. Because of how big and strong the giants are, they could easily mess up a shape that they're cutting out. Adding the fact that our previous game easily killed some of the giants for either being too slow or having speed moves that will catch them off guard rather than help them, and all of our giants are pretty much dead in this challenge, barring Ninjini who can easily cut the shape out just by using her telekinesis. But referring back to how characters with no hands will predominantly fail at this challenge, case in point Eruptor. It was honestly a no-brainer. Because Eruptor's hands, if you can even call it hands, are literally made out of lava, he probably would have even melted the sugar honeycomb before he opened it. And with that said and done, we go to the next game. Ah yes, Tug of War. I suck at the actual game. For a long time, the cliche with Tug of War is that it was taught that it was supposed to be a game of strength, but Squid Game proves that you can even have some intelligence and still win the game. But this fact is completely thrown out of the window when you realize that giants are able to pull islands towards them, and we already know which giant survived the last 2 matches. So whoever is in her team doing this game, she would easily win. But since this game was played in teams of 10, I cannot predict which Skylanders sided with which other Skylander. But guessing which Skylander would be eliminated from this round was pretty hard to decide. But I ultimately decided to place Blastermind as the worst performing Skylander in the game, because as Ignite the Fire politely stated,
he is weak as shit.
We now go to the saddest and most heartbreaking challenge out of the entire series. Marbles. I mean, I still can't get over Ali Abdul's death. That's just how impactful the entire game was. The Skylander must pick a friend to play with in this very game, but little do we know that it's either them or their friend that survives. There's only one Skylander who I think will easily betray his friend, and that is Ghost Roaster. If we paired Ghost Roaster to his Eon's elite squad, Voodoo would be too trusting, and Boomer would be too stupid and trusting. Echo would be too feisty and might try to rush the marble game only for her to be executed. And robot Skylanders like Blastertron, for instance, would easily lose this challenge as well due to a programming stating that they must follow orders, and wisecracking characters like Trap Shadow could take advantage of that, as well as Skylanders that has some form of military experience like Jetpack and Gilgrunt. There's only one Skylander that I consider to be self-sacrificing, and that's Igniter, according to the Skylanders Powers Adventure textbook. So all in all, we had quite the devastating game, and many of our favourite Skylanders has been eliminated now. And now, we have our final 15 Skylanders. Now we're at my favourite game, the Glass Bridge. There are 15 Skylanders left, and what they have to do is they must cross the bridge without stepping on one of the tempered glass. Terfin will be first to go because he has that let me at it type of personality, and especially in a game like Stepping Stones, yeah, it wouldn't really go well on Terfin's accord. Camera will go next, as he probably wouldn't take the game seriously like all practical jokers. Characters that use stealth, like Stealth Elf and Trap Shadow, may think that there's a pattern in the game, but it turns out they're wrong. At this point, it's not about your abilities anymore, it's more about your luck. Because giants can jump through certain cracks, Linguini would easily lose this challenge. A similar fate will probably happen to Ghost Roaster, because his tail is a glass-shattering weapon. Our remaining 2 contestants will be Drobot and Gilgrunt, as they are smart and calculated enough to stay into the back until everyone else has died. And with that, the final challenge commences. After 5 rounds and countless eliminations, we reach the final game. The namesake title, Squid Game. The person who is attacking hops outside the board, and the person who is defending can walk freely on 2 legs inside the board. Whoever reaches the triangle first is the winner. Drobot will be attacking and Gilgrunt will be defending. As we all know, Seong Jeon and Sang Woo uses knives during the match. This, however, violates our rules that we stated earlier on about no weapons in the tournament. However, if we were to include weapons in the tournament, then Drobot will easily win, because this is Drobot we're talking about. But without weapons, it'll be a lot more harder to determine who would win the battle. But then one thing crossed my mind: which characters has more experience in combat? And I then come to the conclusion that, with no weapons whatsoever, Gilgrunt would be victorious. My reason for this assumption is because Gilgrunt used to be part of the Gilman military before he became a Skylander, and any soldier from any army would know how to defeat an enemy without using just weapons. for example strangling. Meanwhile, Drobot will be just left to suffer, because without his power suit, 1. He will absolutely look cursed, and 2. His biography states that he wasn't a necessarily good flyer, and that's why he got blown into an Archean vault, where of course he found his power armor. So when all is said and all is done, Gil Grunt emerges victorious as our winner of the Squid Game. If you disagree with me, that's fine, because I bet I've missed a lot of Skylanders that could have a higher chance of winning the Squid Games than Gil Grunt, so let me know in the comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe, and with that, I'll see you in the next video.